Hello, I'm Colin Bradley. I'm going to show you how to produce a gorgeous sunset picture using just 6 CarbOthello pencils. And I'm going to start by drawing lines across my pastel mat paper. Now the thing is, I want to come a little bit higher to here. Now I'm not going to be drawing this out initially. I'm just going to be using the pencils to produce the effects. And to start off with, I'm going to put a bit of white in now. I want the sky to be quite dark at the top. Now, we're having dark paper and having a dark colour, or dark colours like, for instance, we've got the blue and the Payne's grey. It's going to produce a really attractive tone. Now, I'm putting quite a light application of white on at the moment, going up to that line. It just starts the ball rolling, and that's going to go all over. So I'll concentrate over here for the moment, just a little bit more. It just provides a base or a key for the other colours. Now down the bottom I want it to be stronger, so here I'm going to concentrate the white just a little more, because we're going to have other colours on here that are going to really brighten it up. Now, primarily this is going to be the sky, water and beach. I'm going to keep it fairly simple. I'm not going to have any boats or buildings in this particular picture, because it's concentrating on the colours really, and how you can achieve really vibrant effects using the CarbOthello pencils. Now that's as far as I want to go at the moment. Now on the top of this I should be putting yellows and reds and oranges, but really what I'm looking for now is a dark sky at the top. Now this, as you can see, is quite a bright, vibrant blue, and when that comes down to here, I'm just going to ease off a bit. Now I'll be doing this all over here, folks, so I'm only doing the first bit to save video time, as long as you see all the techniques and the procedure and the colours. Now in here I'm just going to use my finger, and you can see you get a really nice smooth effect. I should be doing that again though. It's always best to do a couple of coats just to make sure. Now what about down here? Well, down here I'm going to put some yellow. Now when yellow touches blue we end up with green. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to stop before I get to the blue. And by the same token, if I use my blue finger to rub the yellow in, it's going to be green, so I change fingers. Like that. And again, that will go all over. The only exception to that rule is over here, let me show you. We're going to have a sun. Now I don't want to make it a round, perfectly round sun. The idea of this is to put a brilliance in and then spread that out like that. And you'll see how I work that when we get to it. So let me finish this off here and then come back and we'll start putting some colours in. Well, that's the first coat of yellow and blue put in. Now I'm going to use orange. I said I was going to use more colours. Well, this is when we are now. The orange can come into the yellow, but just a little bit more care be taken on this now. Now I'm going to do this all the way along. The only, again, exception to that is when we get to the here, let me just show you that too. I'm going to put the yellow back in again. Now this time you can see it's much more intense because we've got the base colour. I'm using a dark grey. If you're using a lighter colour you probably wouldn't need quite so many tones, but the reason I like the dark grey is it's a really good reception, and it's certainly one of my favourite colours. And this is where we've got to be careful, because if we hit the yellow on the blue, we're going to get green. So here, I want to go around there like that. And that's going to be blended with my yellow finger. And again, you see, when you rub it in, you still bring back the paper a bit. So you've still got to put just a little bit more on. But I'll be showing you that a little clearer later on. The other thing we want to do is to make sure the sun, or the light source, if you like, is much stronger. So now we can use the white a little more to diffuse that. I don't want it to be, as I said, around some, because we're going to put other things in there and other effects. Okay, so but you see how nice that looks. Okay, and now the orange, that's going to go along there, and when it gets to here, it will peter out. But right at the bottom, we'll be having a little more of it. Now I'm putting this in and I'm rubbing it in, but I won't. Eventually, that won't happen. I shall make sure that it's nice and bright. And there we are. Now we can filter the two together at this stage where we've got the orange and the yellow to give us a little bit of lightness. Anyway, I'm going to come back to that in a minute. More importantly, I wanted to get this done. And the other thing we want to do as well is put some red in here. Now the red will feature everywhere too, but now when the red goes into the blue, it won't be green, obviously. Let me just show you how that's going to work. Use my blue finger here, and we want it to be like that. Now that is lovely. You see the effect I've got there? Now I'm going to put more blue on, so let's do that. And give me a second coat of blue. And again, I'll travel this all the way across there. Blue finger. And there we are. Coming along. So let me finish that off, fill that in, and then we can work on a little more detail. I shall be putting some darker clouds in too up here using the I have to remember the number, it's 770 Payne's Grey in CarbOthello. I've advanced it a little more using the colours I showed you, and now we want to intensify some of those colours. You see I've put here a little white. I didn't complete the second coat of blue all down here. I've used the white, and you'll see the sense of that in a minute. And that can spread out to about there. I still want it quite dark at the top, so let's just fill that in using my blue finger. The wonderful thing about the pastel pencils is you can smooth them in so well. This is why they're brilliant for this kind of thing. You see how that looks? Now that's, and just down here, I've got some areas which I haven't totally filled in, and this is where you can be quite creative. You can put in colours, and I can extend that into the yellow and the white. Now I've got no references here. I'm working on, well, past experience, to be honest, folks. I've done this before, but it's very creative, as you can see. Now, what you do with that? Well, what you do with that is much lighter. Now, let me show you. Just a little lighter touch, because we want it to stay like that. We don't want to blend that in completely. Okay. Now, we can also extend this into the blue up there. It puts a nice balance on it. And make it a little stronger by using the point of your pencil, just to, a little bit more. This combination of pastel pencil and PastelMat helps to give us these stunning effects. Okay, now the same thing we can apply as here now. We can use the orange, say, to give ourselves very little blending now. It will be mainly the raw colour that I'm going to put on. And then down here. And the other thing I want to do, let me show you this too. This is really interesting. Orange, first of all. Remember, originally I had a white line on that. Well, that's all gone. Now I just want to spread it out just a little more than that. Okay, right, and now the red. Now, what do we do with that? Well, obviously on this side, this is going to be the water here, and this will be very dark. Well, it'll be dark here, folks, but light there. What? Yes, true. Now I'm going to bring that close up to that line until we get to there, and we can fade it off. I'm leaving that dark line for the moment there, but it won't be dark. Eventually it's going to be light, but I'm leaving it for obvious reasons. I don't use a rule very often, but when you've got horizon lines, masts of ships, this sort of thing, it really does mean that you've got to have some sort of accuracy there. You can't just draw a line. You'd never do it with freehand. Now, as I'm doing that, I'm also filtering into that area there. Now, the red will follow the same path. Just bring it in. When I come to do the water in a little while, you'll see me also using a rule to go the other side of that line. Now that is lovely. I think that's got what I wanted it to. Very gentle. Sometimes if you press hard with the pastel pencil, you'll get a really nice strong line, as you saw. But if you're gentle with it, like I am now, feathering it in, you get a terrific colour. Now let me just turn this upside down for a minute. I'll have to choose my yellow finger. And I'm just going to blend that lightly now. You see, I've also put some white in there. I'll show you that in a tick. I'll redo it, because you didn't see me do it. Just in there, we want some white. The idea of this is to make this as attractive as possible. Okay, so that's great. Now, the yellow. We can bring the yellow back into the orange. And there will come a time, not long from now, when I've got to call a halt, because if you keep going, you'll end up spoiling what you've done. And that would be rather a shame now. The only thing I will do, you see I've got a couple of streaks in there, and because when I rubbed it, well, I like them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little white in there, just to emphasise them. And the other thing I've got is a darker one here, which I like. Now these little happy accidents that happen, you can take full advantage of. Now, I just want to, I want to do some little bit of work up here. Yellow, orange, and white. I don't want any red in this area. Yellow. I have to risk the fact that it's going to end up green, up a little bit green. It doesn't really matter. In fact, sky would be like that if you had blue and yellow. You're going to have a little bit of green in it, but we don't want to make it too much. I think that's fine. And now the white. And I did say I was going to put some dark colour on, didn't I? Well, that I will, and that's scary. Now, if you want to have a go at this yourself, you may elect not to do what I'm going to do now. But it really is attractive. Now, the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put some red in. just a little stronger. Now you can only do this if you kind of finish with the smoothing in, because you can't smooth that in, otherwise it's going to look terrible. I'm just wondering about this now. I think what I might do here is I might make that a little stronger there, because right at the base there, I want to make that red line light. So I just thought of that before I go too far. A little bit of yellow and a little bit of white. And up here is the same. And what about then? If you've got one of these, you can use it. If you haven't got one of these, you can't, obviously. But if you can put a little bit of blue on, and what I've done here is I'm just putting a touch of blue from the sky. It would be difficult to put the blue on here, on top of this. So just use a palette, don't worry about that. I can, any colour I take away, I can put back. Just a little bit of blue on there. And that gives it a little bit more. I'm taking it from the darkest part of that. Now these are colour shapers, and I use them a lot in the work. And they do look really, and produce really good effects. Now what I want to do, just bear with me a minute or two, because it's going to take me just a couple of minutes to just finish these off. I don't want to do any more than that, just maybe a little bit more blue there. There we are, that's fine. It's rather nice, isn't it? What would be nice, of course, if I went right through the sun? Shall I? Can I take a chance on that? Well, I can, I think. Same idea. Don't make a line though, whatever you do, don't make a line. Have it like that. And once again, let's put some more blue up. That's really quite spectacular. Well, what if you want to do this and you haven't got one of these? Well, you could still do it, but you'd have to be very careful and use your lighter colours as well. Now, I like that. I think that's lovely. In fact, I like it so much, I think I'm going to do a little bit more of that. Let's put a few more of those. You see what I mean by you're able to play around. Now that this time I can put some blue in there. And again, use the colour shaper. And there we go. Now I'm not going to push what I can do anymore, but I think that looks really nice. Finished. Yes, I was going to say I was going to use this one. Now this is 770 Payne's Grey. It is quite dark. Consequently, it's going to end up that way. Now, when you start off with something like this, do it tentatively and squiggle like I am. I'm going to go right up into the corner there. It's only on this side. But we want some of the blue coming through. We don't want to completely annihilate it. So, and fill it in. Now, as you come towards the area where you feel you want to stop, ease it off. So it just goes in and you get whisper. Now it's going to take me a little while to do that, so watch me. The other thing I want to show you is this can also be used again. Clean it off. I always clean it off with my finger and thumb. Don't wash them off. And you can use the same thing, same idea down here, only obviously with a darker colour. Now I should do a little bit more of this, but you can see how dramatic that is. You can imagine what that's going to look like when it's finished. And as I come down here, I'm going to weaken it off, lighten it off as I come down, a bit like that. down here. But join me again when I come back, and we'll be looking then at starting the water. Now we're going to start the water. Just before I do that, I want to get this section here sorted. So I'm bringing the yellow in again. And the white. Great. Now just the red. I've got to bring the red up from here. Right along that edge there, where I drew the line, and we're going to put another line in, but it's going to surprise you when I do that. Okay, now I've got to use this again, but I can't use that like that. I've got to get rid of the dust and the muck and bullets from there. Now, having got that off, I can now blend that very, very carefully. Like that. Right, now the big one. Rule out again. I'll pull back a bit for this. Now, you really must use your rule for this. First of all, I'm going to use the blue. I want to come along to about a third of the way along, right? On top of that, this is the 770, which is the Payne's Grey. That goes on top. Right, now from here on, I'm going to use the red, take over from grey, go so far with that. Then I'm going to use the white, and the yellow. So what's all that about then, Cole? Well, I tell you what it's all about. We're going to bring the beach. There's going to be a beach in here in a minute with some ripples. And this is going to be very dark with, again, a few ripples. So let's start the ball rolling over here by putting in some white. And that can be quite strong. So you come back in with just a little more weight. Well, the reason I say that is because over here I also want some white, but not so much. A bit like we did with the sky. A little lighter here. The idea is to put a base so that we can work at other colours into it. Into that goes the yellow. I'm going to leave that for the minute because I want to come back over here. Now, we've also got some waves, so let's bring those in. They also have some yellow on them. This is water, this is wash, and this is beach. Okay, now we want some blue. Now this is where we can pick up from the line we have above. So very, very carefully. And here I don't mind if the blue and the yellow mix together. Now I won't do all of this, I'll just do it because it's going to take a little while for me to fill that in. But you got the idea. Now let's bring it down so that we actually meet up with the yellow. And here we'll have yellow and blue mixing. So we end up with greeny hue. I'm going to do that all the way up to the edge of that. Alright, the other exceptions to that, as you can see up here, I've got the white, or orangey white, so that will stay there, giving us a reflection in the water. Now when it gets to that red there, that's when we'll have a bit of yellow on there. We've got to have a contrast, that's the thing. We cannot have and a little bit orange, but I think it's going to have to be the red. Continue the line. Got it? Anyway, now what I'll do here, because this is quite complex, I'll do what I did with this guy, and I'll do little bits as we work towards our end goal, which is to bring this in with a stronger colour. So we got a wash. Got it? Okay, so you'll see me do the important bits of this, but of course a lot of filling in as well. Now you might wonder what I was doing here. Well, what I'm doing here is I'm pulling it down. And that gives you the impression that that's reflected into it. Not so much here, but there. Okay, now let's just run the white pencil along here. A little bit more definition. And this is where the breaker is breaking over. Like that. Okay. And we'll just have just a spot of dark. 170. Just there. And here again we've got a breaker that's broken. Don't need to be any more detail than that, as long as we've got the idea in. Now that looks really nice, doesn't it? I've got to sharpen this up just to get a little sharper edge to that white wash that's coming in here. I have quite a nice contrast between the two, so I may well have to put some more red there. It's all about contrast, you see. And a little bit more on this side as well. So I sharpen white, do that. That looks pretty good. I think we can probably put some little bit of wash on there too, on the edge. Again, it'd be better with a sharper pencil. Now, what I'm going to do back here is, obviously, the further away you go, the less detail you can put in. Now, that's fine. But I'm going to put a little landmass over here. On top of the red. It's almost on the skyline. But just like that. And we can use our red too. And our yellow. And our white. Well, got to be a sharp white though, folks. That's too blunt at the moment. So I shall do that, and then we can bring the. I think what we also want to do here is just put a few details in, like that. Again, you could overdo this, so what I'm going to do is just stop there. I think looks pretty good. Now, let me sharpen the pencil, and then I think we're finished. Nearly there. What we're looking for is the contrast between the light and the dark there. I think that looks pretty good. A few streaks would be nice here, just to cut across that shadow that I put in. And perhaps even on here. But a good interest. There we are. Well, I think you'll agree that that has been a really good exercise. And it just shows you what just 6 pastel pencils will do. Fantastic. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you on another project very, very soon. Bye for now.